Hi everyone, I'm Allison, a yoga therapist in Davidson, North Carolina. Thanks for joining in today as we talk about sun salutations, Surya Namaskar. It's a super popular 12-pose sequence that you find in yoga all over the world. And it started off not so active. So when that sequence was first sort of originated, it was mostly some mudras and sort of mindfulness and meditation. So it's designed to awaken you, sort of like a salutation to the sun, to get us ready for our day and really ready for meditation and prayer. My teacher through Subtle Yoga, I sort of remember her telling us once that it was designed for younger boys who couldn't sit still in meditation. And so to be very mindful of your shoulders in this practice. And in some of the faster paced vinyasa classes, you'll see people moving through this very, very quickly. And that's a lot of energy going through your rotator cuffs and your shoulders. So we're gonna really break it down today, talk about how to do it slowly, also looking at the difference between men's bodies who tend to have a wider shoulder base and a smaller hip base, and women's bodies who tend to have a wider hip base and more narrow shoulders. And we're gonna talk about how to sort of make modifications to this sequence in order to protect your body. So I'll give you a couple different variations on the sun salutations. We're gonna break it down, and then at the end, we'll kind of go through it and put it all together. So grab a mat or some floor space, and let's get started. So we're gonna start with just sort of a more Western version of the sun salutations, and this is a sequence and sequencing that you find in a lot of yoga classes here in the US. I wanted to start with these because you're pretty likely to see them in a yoga class, and I want you to sort of know how to protect your body while you're doing them. So start in Tadasana. This is sort of your foundational pose. So our joints are stacked here. Your ankles are beneath your knees, underneath your hips, shoulders nice and strong, core is engaged. So from the top of your pubic bone up to your belly button, we're sort of zipped in and engaged, right? That sort of Mula Bandha. It's an in and upward movement, but it's not just sucking your breath in, right? So we're really engaging those transverse abdominals. Palms face open, and that allows your shoulders to be relaxed down your back, heart open. So this is your Tadasana. And as you get started in that, you might lift your toes up and just really feel all four anchor points of your feet grounded. So just beneath your pinky toes, just under your big toes, and the two sides of your heels, just notice what that feels like. All right, so we're gonna sweep the arms up on an inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Right, as I'm folding, I'm bending my knees and elongating my lower back, right? Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Right, so from the crown of my head to my tailbone, core is engaged, nice and long here. And then stepping back to high plank, right? So for higher plank, your shoulders are stacked over your elbows, over your wrists, palms are sort of spread out. So my fingertips are like this, and my pointer fingers are pointing straight forward, right? So we're just sort of engaged here in high plank. Now, if this is too much, you can always drop down to your knees. So one thing I see a lot in sort of Western yoga classes is this movement whipping through a sun salutation. So we sort of shift forward, drop down, shift up, drop back to down dog, right? So it's really fast. That puts so much pressure on your rotator cuffs and your joints here. So let's really break it down and see what that can look like, right? So you always have the option to drop down to your knees here. And as we're coming down to low plank, if you add a low plank into your Surya Namaskar, and again, not all practices do, right? We wanna make sure that our chest never dips beneath our elbows, right? So notice how my chest stops here at my elbows. I'm not coming down to here. This sort of hyperextends in through my elbows and my shoulders. Not so great for our joints, right? So option to be up at your knees and just come down to here, or to shift forward, drop down, inhale, cobra, right? Which is just Shoulders come together, elbows are sort of back, palms are isometrically moving backwards or upward facing dog, right? Exhaling, downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, you may sort of if you're trying to do downward facing dog for the first time, you sort of start in tabletop and then bring your hands forward, about a whole hand's distance forward. Same thing as with plank. Palms are nice and spread open, fingertips pointing forward, tucking the toes, sending the hips up towards the sky, right? Your belly and chest are pressing towards the tops of your thighs. Your head and neck are heavy and relaxed. Option to step your feet forward, or in some yoga classes, you'll sort of see people jump. That can put a lot of pressure on your back, so maybe just stepping forward, fold, forward fold. Head and neck relaxed. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling back up, big reach up. Exhale, fold. So just sort of notice what that feels like. And I'm gonna do one, just sort of cueing you through the breath. And again, this is a little bit more of a Western adaptation, and then we're gonna go to a more traditional Surya Namaskar, okay? All right, so Tadasana, nice forward gaze. Your drishti, your gaze is sort of at a focal point. Noticing your breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, high plank or modified plank. Exhale, shifting forward, low plank. Option to have your knees down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Shoulders are down the back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stepping the feet forward. You could inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fold, or you could simply inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands find the heart. Notice your breath. Right? And often this is a really fast-paced sequence that people add in. It's very easy to lose your breath in this. I can feel in my own body right now, my heart's racing a little bit. I've accelerated my heart rate, breathing a little bit more, maybe starting to sweat. So just noticing that in your own body. And what I would encourage you to do if you're gonna add in sun salutations to your practice is take it slow. Slow it down. For many reasons, that will make it even more challenging. But you're more likely to be safe in your body if you're doing slow, mindful movement, right? So let's go to another version of this, and this is sort of the more traditional version. So we're gonna find mountain pose, Tadasana. Same cueing, so heels under your knees, under your hips, palms face forward. Just finding your breath, finding your drishti, your gaze. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right leg comes back to a lunge. Option to drop down to your knee or to stay up on the ball of your right foot as you come up. Pinkies spin in towards each other, shoulders down the back. Exhale, hands come down, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. And exhale, we're gonna shift forward, knees, chest, and chin all come down to the floor. Inhale, cobra. Palms isometrically moving down and in. Shoulders down your back. Crown of your head reaching up. We don't wanna strain the neck, so we're not really looking up. You're still facing, your gaze is downward. And from here, downward facing dog on an exhale. Inhale, right leg forward again. arms lift. Exhale down. Left leg comes forward for a fold. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. So take a second, just notice what that version feels like in your body. Notice your breath. Notice what it feels like in your body. A couple of notes for that. If you're doing that variation, when you're in a lunge, right, we never want our knee to go past our ankle. So say that I have my left knee down and I'm coming here. This puts a lot of pressure on my knee and ankle, right? So we want to make sure that we imagine there's almost like a board here. So your knee's never going past your ankle if you're in a lunge. You can always drop down to your knee. That can sometimes be helpful. You don't have to come all the way up here, right? You might just sort of stay here as a variation too and not lift your arms up. So there's lots of different options here, and that can sort of help out when we're just getting started with sun salutations. So let's go through both of those variations all the way through. Once you sort of have that patterning down in your body and with your breath, you can add in repetition, just listening to your body and honoring what's right for you. All right, so let's get started. Finding mountain at the top of your mat. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, right leg back lunge. Arms could lift as an option. Exhale, hands come down, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, coming forward, knees, chest and chin to the mat. Cobra, palms come down and back. Downward facing dog, pressing up and back. Right leg steps forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, forward fold, left leg comes back. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, hands to heart center. Just take a moment to pause. Notice where you feel blood flowing in your body. Notice what you're aware of in your body. And remember, with all yoga, we're trying to create a union, mind, body, and spirit. So if something doesn't feel right for you in your shoulders, your elbows, your knees, make sure you really honor your body and listen to what feels right for you. There's no reason to push beyond that. We want these two things to sort of be in partnership. We don't want our mind telling our body exactly how to move. We want harmony between the two and the three. Okay, let's do one more variation here. So kind of that first variation we did, that more Western variation. We're gonna inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, step back, high plank. Breathing, low plank. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stepping forward. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising up. Hands coming to the heart. Finding your breath. Just take a second, notice what that feels like in your body. Just sort of tuning inward. Good. I hope you've found this practice helpful. If you have other specific questions about Surya Namaskar and sun salutations, please feel free to add them in the comments. And if you liked this video and found it helpful, please check out some of the other videos on this page and make sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos we're putting out. Thank you. Namaste.